Musicians Institute Guitarcraft Program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rock and Review.
There we go. The very talented John McEuen. You know what? Not only is he the string wizard on banjo, but also on guitar. And, you know, multi-instrumentalist, ACM Awards, CMA Awards. You've been nominated for Grammys and everything else in the world.
Hey, I won a couple Grammys.
See, and you got them too.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just me. It was everybody involved. The Steve Martin album got Grammy for Best, produced that and played on it, the Best Bluegrass album.
I was going to say, because you produced that also, but now, to add to your list of many talents, John, you're also an author, besides being a producer of albums.
That's really a strange thing.
I've got the book. I've got the proof right there. It is. It's The Life I've Picked, a banjo player's nitty gritty journey. Just came out last month, you know, and it's such a great, you know, read with the stories and everything.
When I finished this, I started reading it to go through it one time. I couldn't put it down. And in a serious way, though, I recounted a lot of things because, sure, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, since 1966, I've been called Nitty Gritty Guy.
Right, because you're one of the founders.
Well, Jeff and Jimmy were there, and Les Thompson and some other people, and we were all founders of something we didn't know what we were founding. We're trying to find each other in a space.
Right.
And that space took me into a lot of places where I was playing solo, I was playing with a group, I was doing other things, and I was raising 6 kids along the way.
Right.
And all of that figures into this book about people that I've sat in with or played with.
Like Earl Scruggs.
Well, or even Leon Russell when he called me to play on Bill Wyman's album, his first solo album. And I had to ask, Jeff, who's Bill Wyman? He goes, he's bass player of the Stones. Hi. Oh, I just wondered. Hello, Bill. Yeah, I'd love to record with you. You know, and I get there and Leon says, oh, I'm glad you're here, John. I've already played my 3 licks and get that banjo out, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
Just things like that. And that was a fun day because I took him over to watch Arlo Guthrie record and listen to them complain about how John Denver took City of New Orleans and put in old gray men instead of old black men. You know, it was just, I've had this inside look behind the curtain of many things, so many things I wasn't really involved. I was just there. I was like the Forrest Gump with the banjo.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is, though, John, and from reading through the book, you know, the honesty comes through, and even Garth Brooks on the back states, you know, John McEuen doesn't know how not to be honest, but you know, but also I think your humor comes through the book because you know there were some hard times too, and as you depicted yourself, you were kind of the nerd of the band. And raising a family?
I depict myself as the nerd in high school.
Yeah.
And then I turned into a dork when I got the banjo. And then I decided I got to do something different, so I started wearing leather clothes. And people started saying, is that guy from Louisiana or Kentucky? And I wanted to fool people. And not necessarily fool them, but transport them away.
Right.
I never thought if you went on stage that you should look like one of the road crew.
Totally. And you guys had great clothes. And you know, and a lot of viewers may not realize this also, but with the Circle album, you know, all of the different musicians you pulled together, and Rolling Stone, you know, touted that as one of the best country albums to come out of Nashville.
That was a neat thing. Thank you, Chet Flippo.
But the stories and everything, you know, I was telling you before we came down to the studio, John, one of the favorite quotes was, you know, talking about a blues guy telling you, you know, while he was playing and you guys were jamming, and he was giving you advice on arrangements.
No, we were rehearsing at the Troubadour in 1967-ish, opening for Brownie McGee and Sonny Terry. And for those of you that don't know, they were an incredible blues duo. Sonny played the harmonica, Brownie guitar and sang. And Sonny's up in the dressing room with his guitar, with his harmonica, wah, wah, wah. You know, I listened to you boys downstairs rehearsing that song, wah, 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 and you got to know something, wah, wah, wah. You got to. He was blind, so he's always rocking back and forth. You got to know that when you start a song, you got to make sure everybody knows that song is starting. And then they know how to listen and when to listen. And when you end the song, make sure they know it's over, because then they know when to clap. It's in between you do all that messing around you're trying to do. Because we had a song that just didn't have an ending.
But that's gold. I mean,
it really was.
I mean, what great advice. I mean, that's
and the fact
music.
that he cared to give it.
Right.
Like when I was a 19-year-old nerd kid hanging around the Ash Grove trying to learn something from Lightning Hopkins, who was a big influence to me. I asked him, Mr. Hopkins, you seem to do a lot of songs in the key of E. And he said, Well, I just figured you could spend your whole life looking around at E and you'd never find all of it. And that connects to my brother talking about the banjo when he said, you know, I like all that fancy up the neck stuff, but stay below the 5th fret. That's where all the meat is. Except, of course, for choking that string,
Yeah,
like Earl does.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and the pictures with you also in the book where you were sitting there with Earl Scruggs and the picture with you and Chris Christopherson and so many greats that you've played and rubbed shoulders with over the years, John.
One of my favorite shots in the book is me and Edgar Winter and Leon Russell jamming at a show. And Leon always had me come up and play with him, and that was... And I was always timid about that. No, you get that fiddle up here and play on jambalaya or something like that, and rolling my, whatever.
Yeah.
Russell was see, in this book is the story of how he wove through my life. Not necessarily Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, but my life.
Right.
He was at the first rehearsal, and we were rehearsing the first rehearsal at the Ash Grove. He walked in a blue suit and tie and said, "Would you boys like to sign to a record label?" And, well, sorry, sir, but we just have. Nobody knew who Leon Russell was. He just finished doing This Diamond Ring for Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And you mind if I listen? He listened for an hour and then went his own way. And a couple of years later, I reconnected over the years.
Yeah.
He came and went. Ended up recording at his house a few times, and he was just a nice guy.
Well, you know, it's so funny, too, John, going through your book, and I highly recommend this for any lovers of music and fans of John and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or just music in general. But it was so much fun. You know, a lot of these titles of your chapters could actually be song titles. You know, there was one about Tommy Lee Jones, Sissy Spacek, and 4 ex-wives. And I thought, that sounds like a song to me.
Well, that refers to the time that I was working on the film score with Tommy Lee Jones and having to teach Sissy Spacek how to play the piano for a song I'd written for her to sing after the dinner in the movie. And how I asked Tommy Lee if I could tell him how I thought it should be directed. And he was the director. And he goes, well, let me hear it. And I told him the idea. He goes, sounds good, have him ready. And I said, why did you listen to the music guy about a directorial comment? He goes, I listen to everybody. Because if it's a good idea, I'll use it, and I get the credit.
That's amazing.
You know?
Oh, my gosh.
That is a lesson. That is an amazing lesson. If you have an idea, speak up.
Well, you know,
that kind of freedom and working with people, because I've worked with about 800 different people other than the Dirt Band.
Right.
But that kind of freedom is kind of what just pulled me out of the group.
Right.
They never recorded any of my music. I tried many times, but going through a song that I'd written would last maybe 4 minutes. Oh, let's not do that. And that's okay.
Right.
I just don't agree. I didn't agree.
Well, you know, and everything, you know, runs its time. You know, and you've done a lot of solo albums. And
I really am grateful for sticking with Jeff for so many years because I loved his attitude and voice. And Jimmy's got to be one of the greatest harmonica players in commercial music out there, influenced so many people.
Oh, yeah.
And Jimmy Ibbotson, hey, I'm working with him next month. I can't wait. One of my favorite singers of all time. At least from my recording, Ibby and I have done some of my best recordings.
Wow.
He's not in the band right now.
Yeah.
But we're in music.
Yeah, and an author. So I had to bring up, too, you know, the guitar you're playing today, you actually acquired that from George Gruen here in town.
Oh, man. Hey, John, come upstairs. I have something I want you to see. And I went up and looked at it.
And now here it is.
Had to buy it. It was made in South Africa.
Yeah, I love those. And I wanted to bring up also your signature model Banjo that came out last year.
Oh, man, last year I was getting inducted, a big surprise to me, into the Oklahoma City Banjo Museum.
Right.
Into their Hall of Fame. And Janet Deering put out a Deering model, John McEuen model banjo with all the things that I wanted on
And it's
a
got
banjo.
your name up here on the headstock. It's got your name on the fretboard. That's a fancy banjo.
So if somebody steals it, it'll be easy to find.
Exactly. Now, I wanted to bring up also, John, a lot of people may not realize, but you're going to be playing at the Opry here in Nashville on Friday. And then you've got a show Saturday at the Franklin Theater, and then you've got a book signing actually on Thursday also. At
Barnes & Noble in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock.
So you've got a few things going here in town this week.
I feel like I have a hit album out, and it's really weird. I'm so grateful for that attention because I didn't know I was going to be on the Opry didn't get it confirmed until yesterday, and Gina emailed me back, "Oh, so sorry to not answer you sooner. Yes, we'd love to have you on Friday." And when she said, I mean, I've done the Opry a lot of times,
right?
But every time is like the first time, you know. And it's, oh, good, because we got a song we're going to do, and it's going to kill and all that. I can't wait. We're looking forward to it.
It's just amazing, John. It's always so good. You know, we're just going to, at some point, you and I are going to have to do like a half-hour or hour-long show to where you can just tell stories the whole time and play music in between.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well, I just want to recommend to everybody, pick up a copy. The life I've picked, A Banjo Player's Nitty Gritty Journey by John McEuen. If you want to get it signed, you know, he's going to be here in Nashville this Thursday. You can catch him at the Opry Friday, catch his show Saturday
and
at Franklin Theater.
And that's where I'm be doing the multimedia show with a bunch of video behind us.
Wow.
I'll have Les Thompson, John Cable, previous Dirt Band members, and Matt Carnsotis with me. And a special guest singer singing the Maybelle Carter songs, Christy Hoops.
Oh, yeah. What a great voice.
Oh, you know her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I said, look, I want to do these songs if you want to sing them. She goes, I'll be there.
You know what? You're not slowing down a bit, John.
Hey, I'm just getting underway.
Yeah.
It took me a while to learn all these songs and stuff, you know?
I think you're doing pretty well, and now a published author. Be sure and pick up a copy. Great book, and anytime you get the chance to see him play live, it is always a treat. What an incredible musician, and you know, it's so good to have you on the show, John. The one and only John McEuen. Thanks for watching the Rockin' Review.
Rock.
Musicians Institute Guitarcraft program, sponsor of Fox 17 Rockin' Review.